Hello and welcome to Philm Puckery, the unhinged podcast where I romanticize the villains, ship anything with queer tension, and obsess over films that are either genius or deeply cursed. Sometimes both. I'm your host, Spencer Jones, and this season we're diving headfirst into the chaotic comfort that is the MCU. As usual, we will be moving through villain effectiveness, gay undertones, logic holes, best use of CGI, and the most chaotic moment, of course. And today we're talking about Iron Man 2. Let's get into it. This is off topic, but I have to say it. There were 2 points in this movie where I was thinking of Wicked. At the beginning, we can't see Tony. It's just the beginning of the movie. Like, there's things flashing. He says something about how there's speculation of him being Iron Man. All I could see was the hat in Wicked, and then Ariana Grande going, there's much rumor and speculation. And then also when Tony goes, you miss me? He's just very Glinda coded. That scene where Glinda's like, it's good to see me, isn't it? It just was giving, Tony is Glinda, and you can't tell me otherwise. Moving into villain effectiveness, we're going to start with Senator Stern because he's like a minor villain, but he is still the villain, I would argue. So the person who plays him, I don't want to be rude, but he was casted so well because he looks like a slimy, gross politician. I think it's the lips. I'm sure he looks better when they're not making him look like a slimy politician, but wow, they did a good job with that because he infuriates me. Do you know who he looks like though? He doesn't look like, but he reminds me of John Travolta in Hairspray playing Edna. Anyway, so Stern he's so icky. What a politician. The scene where Tony gets called in front of the courts and he's talking to him and he brings out Rhodey. Hey, Rhodey. He's making Rhodey read that one specific paragraph from this whole write-up that Rhodey did. And Rhodey's like, please, sir, you understand that that's not going to show well. It's not comprehensive. And Stern's like, no, I understand that, but just read the specific point to make my point across. I hate that. I know that's the point, but I hate that that shit happens in real life. That's not a TV thing. That's real. And then he just doesn't listen to Rhodey at all. And it just is so, my blood boils. I hate that man. They did he's good. He's a good actor because, wow, just infuriating. And then Justin Hammer's also there. The actor for Justin Hammer, I love his voice so much because the way that he says things, wow, it just rings so well in my ears. And I love him in Mr. Right. I've watched Mr. Right a lot. And the way that he talks in this movie is so funny. The casting of this movie is so good. In this scene that I'm talking about with the court and everything, and Justin Hammer's calling Tony Anthony, I think that's so formal. And obviously Tony is a nickname, but it's never occurred to me. And here Justin is being like, Anthony. It just is, I think, so specific to him trying to be like formal, but he's kind of annoying too. He repeats the same things over and over again, like same. But at the end of that scene when Tony's like, I single-handedly made world peace. Everyone is safe because of me on live television. Tony, what are you doing? He's too cocky. We love him for it. He's funny about it. But Tony, he should have known that that was going to happen. Especially, he's being way too cocky for being on the brink of death. I know he thinks he's going to solve it, and then obviously he does. But he's so cocky for being a man who's going through a crisis about dying and thinking about who he's going to give his company to and everything. He's going too much to the side of, I am the only thing saving the world, but I'm going to be gone soon. So Tony is dying. And Pepper is like, Tony, did you just sell all of our art? And he's like, can you please wear a mask? I didn't catch that before, but I caught it this time. That was really sad. He can't get sick because his immune system's low because he's dying. And Pepper's like, that's rude. Because I was like, Tony's just being so silly. But like, wow. Like, wear a mask, Pepper, please. But then, he's looking for a successor because he is dying. And yay, Pepper's CEO now. Tony is going through a crisis, but the way that he's handling it is so wild. When they go to the racetrack and Tony's like, why own a race car if you can't race it? First of all, I know he's like, I got nothing to live for. I'm dying anyway. That's terrifying. If you actually think about it, race cars are terrifying because the amount of training I imagine you have to do. And then I'm assuming Tony hasn't done any practice and he's putting himself into this racetrack with professionals, right? And race cars crash all the fucking time. That's so scary. And he's just like, yep, I'm going to get in this little suit and I'm going to drive in this little car. And also, is he not worried about winning? He just wants it for the thrill. I think I have a newfound fear of race cars because the whole time I'm watching this scene, I'm like, they're all so brave for this. Every single character that's on this racetrack, holy shit, they're brave. Tony getting in the car and then Ivan walking out onto the track and then Happy driving on the track with his normal car and race cars around him. Race cars are scary. They're going so fast. That's so scary to me. So anyway, all of that level of scary for me, and then times it by like 1,000 when you bring in this guy with glowing whips that are slicing things in half. Did you guys ever play the Wii game? I don't remember. I think it was Wii Sports. There was this guy and he throws things up in the air and you have to like slice it at the correct angle. That's what it reminds me of, Loki. That first slice of the car, that was kind of badass, but holy shit, that's scary. Can you imagine seeing that and you're racing by and you're like, oh fuck, that car is sliced in half. The rest of that fight though is very fast. It's over so quick. And I understand the point of the fight for Ivan wasn't to win. It was to have people lose confidence in Tony or to destroy people's belief in Tony, because he literally just said on live television, I am the peace giver. No one is even close to having the kind of technology I do. By the way, Ivan made the arc reactor in his dingy little Russian home. Obadiah Stane, I think I'm going to bring it back to him for just a second. I'll be so fast. I'm so sorry. I think he was just so dumb. He had all of these resources and all this brain power. Ivan just made it at home and Tony made it in a cave. I think Obadiah is just an idiot. Sorry. But like, come on, Obadiah, really, just Jesus. Okay, so anyway, back to the fight. So Ivan, he gives up so quickly and I understand, but Tony's way too cocky about that. That seemed too easy. Obviously, Tony was afraid of dying. The adrenaline is up and it is scary that there's this guy with giant lightsaber whips that are whipping cars in half. Tony gets out of the car and everything, and Ivan's just walking over to him slowly. Tony wasn't off put by that. He wasn't like, oh, he doesn't want to kill. So actually, I'm going to give Tony the benefit of the doubt. He is on the high adrenaline and probably not thinking, because I have a third party viewpoint, right? I think if I was in Tony's position, I wouldn't think, oh, he's walking up to me slowly. I'm sorry, Tony. My bad. No, it's okay. So anyway, Ivan, he loses. He gets put in jail. He gets broken out. And then he teams up with Justin Hammer. What a good team up. I mean, kind of. Not really, but I do really like Justin Hammer. Anyway, so now they've teamed up and they're in this little, I guess, private air. It's not an airport, but it's where the plane is in this garage. I don't know, garage, we'll say. And they're eating and Justin's like, I get these flown in from all around the world. Pick anything you want. We'll like bring it to you. And he's like, Ivan, if I may, here's what I think you should do. I think you should attack Tony's legacy. If I may, here's what I think needs to happen. If I may, we should team up. I love the way that he repeats himself so much in this movie. He's always, if I may. Ivan, if I may. There's like classical music playing in the background and it's so nice. And he's got this fancy little like setup and he's talking to Ivan. He's like, we should team up. If I may, here's what we should do. And then, and then Ivan's speaking in Russian and Justin's like, oh, do you speak English? Should I get a translator? Are you understanding anything I've been saying this whole time? So funny. Anyway, let's take it back to Ivan. As a villain, I think he's really good. I don't know that I love the actor choice, but style-wise, wow. Ivan's little half up, half down moment, it's so cunty. I kind of love it. I'm like, wow, that fuck ass Bob. And he's got those chunky gray highlights. Who's doing his hair? And then he's always got that toothpick. He's just so cunty. I really love it. And then he's like, give me my board. It brings humanity to him because he's this like big buff Russian guy. And the actor, he used to be a boxer, I think. He's got all these tattoos and everything. And he's like this fancy tech guy. And he's really smart and he knows everything. But he just wants his bird. Aw. He just wants companionship, really. So anyway, when Rhodey brings War Machine to the military and Tony's out of commission right now, like nobody trusts him, Justin Hammer is really the only other option for weaponizing this thing. It's just Tony and Justin. There's no other weapon options. I don't believe that. And maybe it's true. I don't understand the weapon industry. That's kind of a bummer for the military that Justin's the only other option after Tony, because his tech just really sucks. And I know they don't know that, but I feel like when Tony put Justin's test of the Iron Man suit on the big screen and they all saw it fail, I guess that's not a testament to every weapon Justin makes, and maybe his other weapons are better, but we learn later on that they're really not. So then Justin is giving this whole presentation to the military, right? He's like, here are all the weapons that I will weaponize War Machine with. And they're not surprised by anything he's showing them, which makes sense because it all sucks. Justin's like really sad, actually. He's so rejection sensitive, and I think it's so fucking funny because in that part, he's so proud of his little gadgets. And then he's like, that's all I got, guys. Give me something, please. He's so sad. Just smile at him. He's just a little boy. And then there's the other part where he's really mad that Ivan's not doing what he wants and Ivan's making the drones and everything. And he's just mad that Ivan's not listening to him. His ideas are being rejected by this really smart guy. And he's like, I don't know if you know this, but I don't speak Russian. That's not important, but I really liked the way he said that. And I think about it a lot, actually. So in this movie, I feel like the villains are getting a little bit better. I don't root for them per se, but I think they are better than Obadiah Stane and Blonsky and Agent Ross and everyone. I understand the purpose. I like that Ivan has this entire backstory of why he's going after Tony Stark. And I liked that Hammer is trying to be better than Tony Stark and he's trying to monopolize the weapons game, I guess. I see where they're coming from, and I feel like there's more depth to them than there was to the other villains in the previous movies. And I feel like we're getting closer to a villain that I can really appreciate, that I can really root for. I do love Justin Hammer. I think he's so funny. I think it was great casting. I think that I don't root for his character necessarily, but I just like him in this movie. Ivan's fine. But I do appreciate them compared to the other villains that we've seen. Okay, that's enough. I'm going to talk about gay undertones now. There's a lot happening undertone-wise for me in this movie, and it might just be my delusions, but we're going to talk about it. So Pepper's CEO, yay, we're so happy and we're so proud for her. And then Tony hires, or I guess he doesn't hire, but they bring in this notary, and her name is Natalie Rushman. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but she kind of looks like Natasha Romanoff. And actually, now that I think about it, Natalie Rushman and Natasha Romanoff, it's not super close, but it's like NR. Do you know what I mean? Natalie Rushman, Natasha Romanoff. They look really similar. I didn't look it up, but they might be played by like twins or something. I'm joking. Anyways, I love Natasha Romanoff so much. She's so badass, and I wish that they gave her more than just sex appeal because she's so fucking cool. The way that she immediately takes down Happy in the boxing ring, I want to learn that move so bad. You know the moves, they're all a little bit different, but the concept is the same where she spins around and she locks her legs around their head and flips them over. I want to learn that so bad. I don't know where to go to learn or practice that, but I need to know how to do that. I need it bad. Anyway, she's so amazing. We love her so much, and so does Pepper. Separate of Natasha, or Natalie, whatever. We'll say Natalie for now, because she hasn't come out as her true self yet. Tony is like, wow, she's beautiful. She knows how to fight. I want her as my assistant. And Pepper's like, no, because she's jealous, first of all, because Pepper and Tony are so in love. And I'm not saying they're not, because I do love them together. However, Pepper and Natasha also, they have this little thing going on because when Tony is taken away from the company, he's on house arrest, and Natalie becomes Pepper's assistant, there's like a tiny little subtle thing happening there, and I really love it. I know that the point was to make Natalie's sex appeal for Tony so that way she could be closer and she could work with him to keep an eye on him. But I feel like outside of that, because Tony, he does love Pepper so much and he wasn't really going for Natasha, like he wanted her around. But then she was like, is this cocktail dirty enough for you? I would do whatever I want if it was my last birthday. And he gets really drunk. So he's not really going after Pepper per se, but he's not going after Natasha either. Natalie, whatever. Outside of her needing to stay close to Tony and stay close to the company, she was like, oh, Tony doesn't want me. Maybe Pepper wants me. Do you know what I mean? I ship it. I think they're so cute together. We don't get a lot of scenes of them interacting, but when Tony brings in the strawberries for Pepper, which I'm going to talk about in a second, because Tony, come on. When he is talking to Pepper and Natalie comes in and her and Pepper are interacting well together now. They weren't before when Tony was still with the company. What a beautiful couple they would make. And I think it might just be that maybe they're over-sexualizing Natasha, but the way that her and Pepper are just so, they're two bad bitches and they're really just getting shit done, and I really love that for them, and I ship it very hard. Because also that scene at the end of the expo when Ivan is taking over the suits, the drones, whatever, and Justin is trying to figure it out, and Pepper is like screaming at him and yelling at him, and he calls her a bitch, and Natasha takes him down immediately. I know it was to get information out of him, but the way that she did it right after he called Pepper a bitch, I feel like it was out of love. I feel like part of it was for information and part of it was like, do not call my wife a whore. That's from Bob's Burgers, sorry. So anyway, they're so in love. But I'm going to talk about Natasha really quickly. Go on this journey with me for a second. Natasha as a character, I know I said it before, but she's so badass. I want to learn how to be her one day. That scene where she makes Happy drive her to Hammer's place after the expo, and she's taking down all of these guys. Happy's really proud of himself for boxing that one guy, and he's like low-key losing at first. And then he gets him down finally. And Natasha, I tried to count at least 11 people though, to Happy's one. Wow. And I know she had gadgets and stuff, but she's so cool. Happy's so proud of himself for knowing how to box and for being this fighting guy. He's like, no, I know what I'm doing. But she's taken down 11 people, Happy. Come on. Style-wise though, her curls in that scene, I'm sure we all don't like them. It might just be me. I don't think so though. But I'm so glad that they changed that later because, girl, brush those curls out. What are you doing? I feel like that was trying to be closer to comic book Black Widow, but that's so bad. I'm so glad they fixed it later. That scene where she is in the classic Black Widow pose and her curls are bouncing, it's so bad. Poor ScarJo. She didn't ask for that wig. I'm so sure of it. They did her so dirty. It gets better though. It'll be fine. So then she takes down at least 11 people, and then she gets to the control room, whatever. I'm going to say control room. I don't understand how bad guy things work, but she gets to the thing and she's like, okay, I'm giving Rhodey his suit back. She's looking at Tony's vitals and she's like, Tony, you're not dying. And Pepper's on a call and Pepper's like, Tony, you were dying? That scene's so funny, first of all, but also the love in that room is so beautiful because Pepper loves Tony. Natasha loves Pepper. Tony loves Pepper. Everybody loves Pepper. What a throuple they would make, I feel. I just ship it all around, I think. They're all just so beautiful. So Tony's not dying anymore. And Pepper's like, what? You were dying? Let's take it back to when he was dying. He just wants to treat Pepper. There's that scene when they're on the plane and everything's going to shit because Ivan just got taken into custody and everyone's like, so Iron Man was so confident about there not being anyone to challenge him. And just as he says that, there's this guy that's here to challenge him. So anyway, they're on this plane and Tony, he just wants to take care of her. He makes her this really gross egg, but he tried. He's not a cook. It's not his fault. He's a tech guy. He doesn't know how to work a stove probably. He's just a boy. He's like, here is this food that I made for you. I love you. And then he's like, I don't want to have my birthday party. Let's cancel it. Let's go to Venice. Let's take a little trip together. And Pepper's like, no, it's not a good idea. Politically right now, as the company is going through a shift and you're going like crazy. So she says no, but he just wants to hang out with his girl as his dying wish. And I think that's so sweet. And Pepper should have taken him up on it because that would have been really nice. So he goes to the birthday party because Pepper's like, I don't think that's a good idea. Let's just continue on with the plans you already made. Afterwards, he's put on house arrest because he went absolutely fucking crazy at the party, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So after he's on house arrest, he breaks out and he goes to the office to get his dad's model of the expo. And on his way, he picks up strawberries for Pepper. That's so sweet. Aw. She's like, do you know the one thing on earth that I'm allergic to? And he's like, strawberries. She's like, strawberries, Tony. One thing on earth that I'm allergic to. And he's like, I knew there was something with you and strawberries, buddy. I know you're trying. You're trying your best and you're doing not a good job. Love you though, but do a little bit better, Tony. He's trying his best and it's really sad. But I feel like he does make up for it though, because at the end when all of the drones are ready to explode and he's in the big dome with Rhodey, they're beeping and Rhodey's like, oh God, we got to get out of here. And Tony's first thought is Pepper because he knows Pepper's on property. And he's like, I have to save her. Like anyone else, I'm going to save Pepper. And he does. But that was so sweet. I'm going to cry thinking about it. And she's like, oh my God, Tony, I can't handle this. But then they kiss on a rooftop. It's so beautiful as the drones are exploding in the background. And Rhodey's there on the roof with them. And he's just letting them kiss because I think he loves Tony a little bit too. He just wants his man to be happy. And if that's with his girl, then so be it. Earlier in the movie, here's why I say he loves his man. When Rhodey is going to Tony's house to warn him of everything that's happening, and he's like, where is he? And Nat is like, he doesn't want to be disturbed. And Pepper's like, he's downstairs. Because Rhodey and Tony, they love each other. And Pepper knows it. And she's okay with it. She knows how close they are. And so she's like, even if he doesn't want to be disturbed, Rhodey can go down there. It's fine. So he goes down there and he's yelling at Tony. But the second he sees that there's anything wrong with Tony, he drops everything. He was mad at Tony. He's like, I can't believe you're doing this. What is happening? You're going crazy. And then Tony is a little bit faint. He's a little bit pale. He's kind of scary looking. And Rhodey's like, oh my God, are you okay? The way that he switches so quickly, he's so ready to help and he's so caring of Tony. That was really sweet. He loves him a lot. And then he helps him with his arc reactor. He's like, oh my God, Tony, that was inside you. This rusted metal. I think it's palladium. I could be wrong. And he's like, this was inside of you. Are you okay? And I see this tech looking thing happening to your body. Tony is trying to make him feel better. He's like, I'm okay. It's not that bad. It's just road rash. I'm okay. But Rhodey's really concerned for his boy. Towards the end of his birthday party, when Rhodey and Tony are fighting, and he's like, you want to be the War Machine? Take it. But Rhodey keeps the name War Machine. That's so sweet and that's so cute. He was like, yeah, Tony named me that. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to move on to the consistencies and inconsistencies of this movie. Speaking of Rhodey, it is a new actor. We saw this coming. I did talk about it the first episode, how they change actors. But I like the way that they address it because he's walking down into the court and Tony's like, I didn't expect to see you here. And he's like, look, it's me. I'm here. Deal with it. And Tony's like, and he's like, let's move on. Drop it. I really liked the way that they played that. He's like, okay, recasts happen all the time. Get over it. Deal with it. And then it's fine. And then he's Rhodey and we don't care. And then in this scene, Tony has the glass phone that I was talking about. So this movie came out in 2010, 2 years after the first one. And now he's got that glass phone that I was talking about. And he is able to put what he sees on his glass phone onto all the screens. He just flicks his wrist and there it is. That was fast. Outside of the glass phone, the tech in this movie is a crazy jump from the first one, I think. And I wonder if it's because he's not working on bombs anymore and he's not really super running the company. But I wonder if because he's not working on weapons as much, he's working on the Iron Man suit and maybe the other tech is a supplement to that because it helps him or whatever. But I feel like the jump from the first movie to this movie tech-wise is crazy. 2-year difference. I wonder if it's because the iPhone came out and people are using smartphones more and they're like, oh, this technology exists. I don't know, but it's really cool to look at. Speaking of recasting though, hey new Howard, this one is pretty consistent for a while, but it's really cool how this movie, everything lines up so perfectly that it's all happening all at once. Howard Stark couldn't have guessed that any of this would be happening at the time that Tony figured out vibranium. Because like Tony's dying and he needs the new metal to replace the palladium and he can't find anything else. He can't find any other kinds of compounds or anything. And just as this is happening, Ivan, who is the son of Anton, who worked with Howard Stark, is going after Tony. And then Nick Fury watching him because he's dying and also wanting him for the Avengers and Iron Man and everything. Tony Stark reopens the expo, which wasn't going on for a while. He doesn't even know about the vibranium atom or compound, whatever, within the Stark Expo layout. And it just happens to be that every puzzle piece is in its place because then Nick Fury knows Howard Stark because he was the founder of S.H.I.E.L.D. He has all of this information. He's got the tapes of Howard Stark being like, Tony, you are going to carry on this legacy because I'm limited by the tech of my time, but I know that later on you'll be able to figure this out. So I'm leaving this to you. And he gives that to Tony at the perfect time. And then Tony figures out vibranium. And then once he figures out vibranium, he's not dying anymore. And then he can take out Ivan. It's just kind of rude that S.H.I.E.L.D. would keep all of those tapes from Tony. It ended up being perfect timing when they gave it to him, but I just feel like it's kind of rude that they kept it from him all this time. So Howard Stark, he's one of the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D. He knows about vibranium from Captain America's S.H.I.E.L.D., but why does he make the Expo model the vibranium atom? Maybe just to keep it a secret from other people. So like if you write it down on a piece of paper, people can steal the concept of vibranium. Because Tony was like, here's the expo, let's take out all of the footpaths and let's take out all the trees. And then he's like, that kind of looks like an atom. And then he's like, oh, I'm rediscovering an element. And then Jarvis is like, you can't synthesize that though. And then he does. We just brush past that Tony created vibranium out of nothing. Because there's that laser that he's like, oh shit. And he's got to turn it and it hits the metal and it glows. I'm confused. And maybe I'm wrong that it's not vibranium, but is it not? He synthesized it though. He made it and then he was fine. And then also it was the triangle piece that goes on top of the core and not inside of it. I'm just confused by that. I think maybe I'm not smart enough, but I just feel like we brush past that way too fast. So Tony saves the day and he's got the Iron Man suit back and he's not dying anymore. And at the end, Nick Fury is like, Natasha did a workup of you. Here, read it. And he's like, Iron Man. You guys want Iron Man for the Avengers. Perfect. And then he's like, I have to think about it though. And then Nick is like, but keep reading. And he's like, Tony Stark, we don't want you. But how can you want me and not want me? And they're like, we want the suit. I just think the back and forth in that is so funny because Tony, he really wants to be a part of the Avengers so bad, but he also is like, no, chase me though. He is just too narcissistic and cocky that he's like, I know y'all want me, just say it. And then he's so let down when Nick Fury's like, we don't want you though. And then I do love that Nick Fury pulls the strings so that Senator Stern has to give them the award. It was just perfectly Tony Stark snarky. And then also Agent Coulson. We love his continuity. He's here and he's watching over Tony Stark. And then he's like, I have to go. I have to go take care of something in New Mexico. And then the end credit scene is Thor's hammer in New Mexico. I love the way that they've done that because they show that this is happening roughly at the same time as Thor, which is the next movie. We'll talk about it next week. I just like that they were working on Thor and they were like, yes, this is happening at the same time. Agent Coulson will be in both movies. And I like that they added that in there, that they gave us the MCU so early on. Like they connected them like that. We're gonna move on to CGI. The CGI in this movie, I think, is so well done. It's like wild how we went from the Hulk to this, but the CGI in this was so good because we've got the Iron Man suit, we've got War Machine, we've got all of the drones, we've got the sparkly whips. I was looking specifically at the scene where they're on the racetrack and Tony's got the Iron Man suit. It's all broken and it's got those burn marks from the whips. He's got the shine on his mask and you can see the shadows moving over the mask. It's beautiful. It's so well done. The suits themselves, though, and it might just be the Arizona in me, I wonder if the suit has AC. It probably does, right? I just feel like metal flying in the sun, it gets hot, right? So it probably has AC. And then he gets drunk at his birthday party. He's like, everybody always asks me, how do you go potty in the suit? And he pees. And then Pepper's like, you just peed in the suit. That is not sexy. And he's like, it's filtered. You could drink that. If he has the wherewithal to create a pee filtration system in the suit, it probably has AC. But it did cross my mind. I was wondering because where is the air coming from? I wonder. Do you think the AC is near his chest and just disperses, or it's like little vents everywhere? And where is the pee stored? Actually, thinking about the pee filtration system, he's usually wearing clothes under the suit. So I don't understand. Do you think he hooks up the pee filtration system through his pant leg and it goes down and maybe stores in his shoe? Where does the liquid go? It's like a form-fitting suit. There's no room. Now I'm less worried about the air conditioning and more worried about the pee filtration system. I think we glossed over that too quickly. It was for comedy purposes, but really when you sit and think about it, this is like breaking my brain. I have to move on. Sorry, back to CGI, because it's more than just the Iron Man suit. We also get Rhodey's War Machine suit. I think it might be Mark II, because Mark I, I think we count the one in the cave. I don't know his system. So anyway, Rhodey takes the older, not painted Iron Man suit, and that's War Machine. I do love that Tony's going crazy with the suit. He's all drunk and he's partying like it's his last night because he really thought it might be. And Rhodey's first thought is to get into the suit. I feel like there were other options, but Rhodey just was like, I'm going to take this opportunity. Because remember in Iron Man 1 when he was like, not this time, but next time, he was waiting for that suit. He was like, I can't wait to get my hands on that suit. This is the perfect opportunity. Tony's drunk. He's going crazy. I'm going to take the suit. I'm going to say that I'm taking the suit to take him down because he's going wild at his birthday party. But he just wanted that suit. Come on, Rhodey. I do really love that fight scene though. I love the sounds that the suits make when they move. And then when they hit, it's like a clank sound. And it's not CGI, but it's like, it has to do with the suits, which are CGI. And then when they're fighting, and Tony's like, DJ, give me a fat beat to beat my buddy to. I think that's so funny. And then it's so cool the way that he's like, you want to be the War Machine? Take your shot. And they've both got their palms up and they're ready to blast each other. And it hits perfectly, and the explosion that it makes, it was really cool because you can see the powering up and then the light blast out and then it hits them and then goes out. And I like the way that they built that scene up to then use it later. That was on purpose. The things he said were important. He was like, you want to take your shot? Take it. It's so dramatic. And then at the end, he's like, Rhodey, you want to take your shot? You want to be a War Machine? And he's like, oh, I understand. They both remember that happening. That was a very important part. And I just know Rhodey really loves being in that suit. It makes me so happy for him. In Avengers, when he's telling War Machine stories and everyone's so impressed with him and he's so happy about it, but the Avengers aren't impressed because they're like, whatever. Or like Thor's not impressed because he's like, I live in space. Rhodey's so giddy in that suit, I bet. I would say second most chaotic moment is the birthday party scene where they're fighting each other. You want to take your shot, take it. Most chaotic scene though, I love this scene so much. When Pepper and Happy are driving onto the racetrack and Tony is getting his ass beat by Ivan, and Happy's driving on the racetrack in between these race cars and it's so high stakes. And then Pepper's like, get in the car. And Tony's like, I was attacked. And she's like, I can't do this anymore. And she's screaming the entire time. And Happy's driving over Ivan into the fence. And Tony's like, are you trying to hit me? It's definitely the most chaotic scene. It's very funny. And the adrenaline is very high because it's like, oh God, Tony might die. Ivan's still going, even though he got ran over twice. Holy shit. And he slices the car in half. It's just really funny, I think. So that's for sure the most chaotic scene. I just want to say before I go, he's on the brink of death the entire time, but I'm laughing throughout this movie out loud. I don't do that a lot, but I was laughing out loud and I've seen it many times. It's not like it's new comedy to me, but it's so interesting how it's so action packed, but it's so fucking funny. Like Justin Hammer is funny. Tony's funny. The scene where he gets served and he's like, can I see the badge? I like the badge. Then it cuts to him. He's in the court and he's looking at Pepper. Pepper's like, turn around, turn around. And he just wants to talk to her. Just the whole movie, really. We forget that he's dying because it's so funny. The way that they do that, I really enjoy it. So I'm going to end on a quote. I think this quote perfectly encapsulates the action and the high stakes of the movie with also the comedy of it. It's when Agent Coulson is like, I've been assigned to new things. I have to go to New Mexico. And he's like, we're trusting you, Tony. And he goes, we need you. And Tony goes, yeah, more than you know. And Agent Coulson goes, not that much. It's so dramatic. We need you. Yeah, you do. Not that much. Don't get too ahead of yourself. So anyway, hope you take that to heart. Thank you for listening and or watching. And if you would like to follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, it's at PHILM PHUCKERY. And if you are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, just know that this podcast exists on both as Philm Puckery with a PH for both. I will see you guys all next week for Thor. Thank you. Bye.